The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with angry voices. Representatives from dozens of worlds filled the curved seats, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. At the center of the chaos stood Ambassador Wei, his simple human form looking small among the towering aliens around him. "The Federation needs every world," shouted Admiral, his blue skin darkening with emotion. Thus 4 arms gestured wildly as he spoke. "The hegemony grows stronger each day. They have taken 12 systems in the past month alone." Wei listened quietly, his hands folded behind his back. Around him, other representatives voiced their agreement. The war had been going on for 3 long years now, and things looked bad for the Federation. The hegemony seemed unstoppable. Their black ships appeared without warning, conquered entire worlds, and moved on before anyone could respond. "Honored representatives," said when the noise finally died down. His voice was calm and steady. "Earth understands your concerns. We have seen the destruction this war has brought, but humanity must decline to take sides in this conflict." The hall erupted again. Voices rose in anger and disbelief. How could Earth remain neutral when freedom itself was at stake? "You are cowards," spat Counselor her insect-like features clicking with rage. "Your species hides while others die for liberty." His expression did not change. He had heard these words before, many times in recent months. "We are not cowards, Counselor. We are simply young. Humanity has been part of this galactic community for only 50 years. This war began long before we reached the stars. We do not fully understand the history that led to this conflict." "Understanding is simple," Admiral said, his voice growing louder. "The hegemony wants to enslave every free world in the galaxy. They destroy cultures, capture civilians, and turn beautiful planets into factory worlds. What more do you need to understand?" "Perhaps that is true," replied. "But Earth believes that lasting peace cannot come from war alone. We choose to remain neutral so that we can help both sides find a peaceful solution when this fighting ends." Many representatives made sounds of disgust. Peace talks with the hegemony were impossible. Everyone knew that Supreme Commander would accept nothing less than total surrender. As the meeting broke up, walked slowly through the station corridors. Earth's position was not popular, but it was necessary. Back in his quarters, he opened a secure communication channel to Earth. "Report, Ambassador," came the voice of President Martinez from across the galaxy. "The same as always, Madam President. They want us to join the war. The Federation grows more desperate each month." "And the hegemony?" "Their representatives refuse to attend council meetings, but their actions speak clearly enough. They see our neutrality as weakness." President Martinez was quiet for a moment. "Any new intelligence on their capabilities?" "Admiral Sarah's reports continue to come in. Our observers are learning much from both sides. The hegemony's tactics are brutal but effective. The Federation fights bravely but lacks coordination between species." "Good, continue your diplomatic work, and remember Earth's position serves a greater purpose." After ending the communication, looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there the war raged on. Ships burned, worlds fell, and billions suffered. Yet Earth remained still, watching and waiting. On the other side of the galaxy, Supreme Commander studied reports in his command chamber. The hegemony flagship was a massive vessel, built to inspire fear in all who saw it. Its black hull was covered with weapons, and its engines could push it faster than any Federation ship. The humans still refused to choose a side, asked his intelligence officer. "Yes, Supreme Commander, they claim to seek peaceful solutions." Laughed, a sound like grinding metal. His species had conquered 17 worlds before joining the hegemony, and they understood only strength. Peaceful solutions. How pathetic. Add Earth to the list of Federation worlds to be conquered. Their neutrality will not protect them forever. "Sir, should we prioritize them? Their military appears limited." "No, they are insects, not worth special attention. When we have crushed the Federation's main fleets, we will deal with Earth's cowardice." Meanwhile, in the Sol system, Admiral Sarah stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station. Through the window, she could see construction ships working on new defensive platforms. The work had been going on for months, ever since the war began. "Admiral, the latest intelligence reports from the front lines," her aide said, handing her a data pad. Sarah read through the information carefully. Battle reports, tactical analyses, weapon specifications. Earth's observers had been busy. They positioned themselves as neutral aid workers and diplomats, but they watched everything. Every battle, every new technology, every strategic move by both sides. "Interesting," she murmured. "The hegemony's new plasma cannons have a longer range, but they overheat quickly. The Federation's shield technology is improving, but they still have trouble with coordinated attacks. Should we share this information with either side?" "No, our job is to learn, not to interfere, but make sure copies go to all our defense planners, if we ever need this knowledge." She did not finish the sentence, but her aide understood. Earth was neutral, but they were not unprepared. Across human space, similar scenes played out. On Luna, weapons designers studied captured hegemony technology. On Mars, strategists analyzed Federation battle plans. In the asteroid belt, construction crews built ships using designs that combined the best of both sides' innovations. The galaxy saw Earth as weak and uncommitted. They were wrong on both counts. Humanity was committed to peace, but they understood that peace sometimes required strength. And while they appeared weak, they were actually learning to be stronger than anyone imagined. Ambassador's next report to the Council was simple. Earth remains committed to neutrality and hopes for a peaceful resolution to this conflict. What he did not say was that Earth was also committed to being ready, because deep down humanity suspected that eventually someone would force them to choose sides, and when that day came, they intended to choose wisely. The war raged on, but Earth stayed out. The galaxy thought this made them cowards or fools. The galaxy was about to learn how wrong it was. 6 months had passed since the last Galactic Council meeting, and the war was getting worse. Admiral stood in the communication chamber of his flagship, waiting for the connection to Earth. Behind him, damage reports scrolled across multiple screens. The Federation had lost 4 more systems in recent weeks. "Admiral," came the voice of President Martinez across the vast distance. "How can Earth help you today?" "Madam President, we need more than your humanitarian aid ships. The hegemony has broken through our lines at 7. Our evacuation fleets cannot handle all the refugees." "We will send more medical ships and supplies immediately," Martinez replied. "Our cargo vessels can take civilians to safe worlds." "That is not enough." Voice rose with frustration. "We need your warships, your soldiers, your factories. Earth has stayed on the sidelines long enough." There was a pause before Martinez answered. "Admiral, we understand your desperation, but Earth's position has not changed. We remain neutral in this conflict." "Neutral?" slammed his 4 fists on the console. "There is no neutral in this war. The hegemony will come for you next. When they do you think your neutrality will protect your people?" "We hope it will not come to that," Martinez said quietly. "Earth continues to search for diplomatic solutions." After the communication ended, stared at the star charts. Earth's human ships were among the best refugee carriers in the galaxy. They rescued civilians from both Federation and hegemony worlds without question. But their military remained hidden in the Sol system, doing nothing while the galaxy burned. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Supreme Commander was having his own conversation with Earth's government. "President Martinez," his voice rumbled through the communication system, "I grow tired of your people's games." "I'm sorry you feel that way, Commander. Earth seeks only peace." "Peace?" His laugh was cold and harsh. "There will be peace when all worlds bow to the hegemony. Your neutrality fools no one. You aid Federation refugees. You share information with their commanders. We provide humanitarian aid to all who need it, Martinez replied calmly, including civilians from hegemony worlds. Our medical ships have treated wounded from both sides. Pretty words, but actions speak louder. Join the hegemony now and your species will find honored places in our empire. Your shipyards will build for us, your scientists will serve us, and your people will prosper under our rule. And if we refuse, then you will be swept aside with the rest of the Federation debris. I am offering you a choice now, human. Soon, that choice will be taken away. The communication ended with a click. Turned to his tactical officer. How many ships does Earth have? Intelligence estimates perhaps 200 vessels, Supreme Commander. Most appear to be cargo ships and refugee carriers. Their military fleet seems small. Pathetic. When the time comes, we will crush them in a single battle. But while both sides pressured Earth, humanity was far from idle. In the orbital shipyards around Earth, construction continued day and night. The ships being built looked like standard cargo vessels to outside observers. They had the right size, the right energy signatures, and the right movement patterns. What the observers could not see was what lay beneath the civilian hulls. Admiral Sarah walked through the construction bay of the ship, the UES Merchant's Promise. Workers in spacesuits attached the final hull plates that would hide the military systems underneath. How many more until the first squadron is complete? She asked her chief engineer. 12 ships, Admiral, another month at current pace. Sarah nodded. The ship looked exactly like a civilian cargo hauler. Its sensors would read as simple navigation equipment. Its power systems appeared designed for cargo handling. Only the most detailed inspection would reveal the military-grade shield generators, the hidden weapon ports, and the advanced combat computers. Any word from our intelligence teams? Yes, ma'am. The Federation is developing new torpedo designs, but they have problems with the guidance systems. The hegemony has improved their plasma weapons, but they consume too much power for sustained combat. Excellent. Make sure our weapons teams have that information. How are our spy satellites performing? Both sides have accepted them as communication relays. Neither suspects they are recording every battle. On Luna, teams of human scientists worked in laboratories deep beneath the surface. They studied pieces of destroyed hegemony ships brought back by refugee rescue missions. They analyzed Federation technology shared during joint humanitarian operations. Most importantly, they designed improvements. Dr. Elizabeth Park held up a small device that glowed with inner light. This is remarkable, she told her team. Federation shields are strong but inflexible. Hegemony weapons are powerful but wasteful, but if we combine the concepts, the power efficiency would be incredible, agreed her colleague. Better defense and offense with half the energy requirements. Exactly. And look at this plasma focusing technique from the hegemony ships. Combined with Federation targeting computers, we could build weapons far more accurate than either side currently has. Similar work continued across human space. On Mars, military planners studied every major battle of the war. They identified weaknesses in both sides' tactics. They developed strategies that neither Federation nor hegemony commanders had considered. General Robert stood before a holographic display showing the Battle of Three. Look how the Federation fleet bunched together here, he pointed to a cluster of blue dots. It made them vulnerable to the hegemony's focused assault. But the hegemony ship spread too wide afterward, added Colonel Lisa. If the Federation had kept reserves here, they could have counterattacked successfully. Both sides fight like they always have, observed. The Federation relies on courage and superior technology. The hegemony uses overwhelming force and fear. Neither adapts quickly to changing situations. What if an enemy could adapt in real time? Asked. That enemy would have a significant advantage. Make sure our ship commanders understand this principle. In the asteroid belt, more construction continued. Mining stations that appeared to extract raw materials were actually building defensive platforms. Each station could defend itself better than many military installations, but they looked completely harmless to passing observers. Earth's refugee rescue missions continued throughout the galaxy. Human ships arrived at battle sites within hours, pulling survivors from destroyed vessels and taking civilians away from conquered worlds. Both sides praised humanity's dedication to saving lives. What they did not realize was that every rescue mission included intelligence specialists. Every refugee ship carried sophisticated sensors. Every humanitarian operation gathered information about weapons, tactics, and technology. Ambassador Wei continued his diplomatic work on the neutral station. He met with representatives from both sides, always pushing for peaceful solutions that everyone knew were impossible. "The humans waste their time," muttered Counselor to Admiral. "We'll never negotiate while he is winning." "Perhaps," replied, "but their refugee ships have saved millions of lives. Even if they will not fight, they serve the cause of freedom." Neither of them knew that real job was not diplomacy. Every conversation he had, every meeting he attended, every casual comment he overheard was recorded and analyzed. Earth's diplomatic mission was actually its most successful intelligence operation. As the months passed, the pressure on Earth grew stronger. Federation representatives visited Sol system regularly, begging for military support. Hegemony ships began appearing near human colonies, not yet attacking but making their presence known as a threat. But Earth's response never changed. Humanity remained neutral. They provided aid to anyone who needed it. They sought peaceful solutions to the conflict. And they continued to watch, learn, and prepare for the day when neutrality would no longer be possible. That day was coming sooner than anyone expected. The Federation had won a major victory at the Worlds, and Supreme Commander was furious. His elite Third Fleet had been destroyed by a clever Federation trap. Worse, the victory had inspired hope in Federation worlds that had been ready to surrender. Stood on the bridge of the, staring at the tactical display. Red marks showed hegemony losses. Blue marks showed Federation gains. For the first time in months, there was more blue than red. "Supreme Commander," his tactical officer said carefully, "perhaps we should reinforce our defensive lines and—" "No," his voice cut through the air like a blade. "The Federation thinks they have won something important. They celebrate while their civilians dance in the streets. It is time to remind them what war truly costs." "Sorry." "Prepare the Black Fleet. We are going to send a message that will crush their spirit forever." "What target, Supreme Commander?" Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Earth." The tactical officer looked confused. "Sir, Earth has remained neutral. They pose no military threat." "Exactly. The humans think their neutrality protects them. They rescue Federation civilians and call it humanitarian aid. They host peace talks that waste everyone's time. The Federation sees them as symbols of hope for a better future." Turned to face his officer. "When we destroy Earth, the Federation will understand that hope is an illusion. No one is safe from the hegemony. No one is neutral. There are only those who serve us and those who die." "Supreme Commander, Earth's destruction might turn other neutral worlds against us." "Other worlds will see what happens to those who refuse to choose the winning side. Begin preparations immediately." 3 days later, the Black Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 50 of the hegemony's most powerful warships appeared as dark spots against the stars. At their center rode massive flagship, its hull from 1,000 battles. On Luna, in the great domed city that housed over 2 million humans, Admiral Sarah received the alert from her defense stations. She stood in the emergency command center, watching the tactical display fill with red enemy markers. "Admiral," her communications officer said, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead hegemony vessel." "Put it through." His face appeared on the main screen. His alien features were twisted with cruel satisfaction. "I am Supreme Commander of the Hegemony. Your neutrality ends now. Surrender, and some of you may live to serve the Empire." Sarah studied the tactical display. Earth's defensive platforms were powering up, but they were badly outnumbered. The hidden capabilities of humanity's true fleet were not ready to be revealed. Not yet. "Hegemony vessels," Sarah replied calmly. "You are in violation of Sol territorial space. Withdraw immediately and this incident will be forgotten." Laughed, the sound echoed through both command centers. "Forgotten? Little primitive, your entire species will be forgotten, but first you will watch your precious neutrality die." The transmission ended. Sarah immediately opened emergency channels to all human settlements. "All stations, this is Admiral. Implement emergency protocols immediately. Begin civilian evacuations from Luna City, Mars colonies, and all outer settlements. This is not a drill." "Admiral," her tactical officer said, "the Hegemony fleet is moving toward Luna. They're positioning for orbital bombardment." Sarah felt her blood turn cold. Luna City was home to universities, research centers, and civilian hospitals. Families lived there. Children played in the parks beneath the great domes. It was the symbol of humanity's peaceful expansion into space. "Open a channel too." "Channel open." "Supreme Commander, Luna City is a civilian target. It has no military value. There are children there, hospitals, schools." "Exactly," interrupted. "When the Federation sees what happens to those who aid them, they will abandon hope. Luna City will be our message to the galaxy." "Please," Sarah said, her voice steady despite her rising anger. "Take our military bases if you must, but spare the civilians." "Your military bases are worthless, but your civilians. They represent everything the Federation fights for: peace, cooperation, hope for the future. When they die, the Federation's spirit dies with them." Sarah closed the channel and turned to her staff. "How long until the evacuation ships reach Luna?" 23 minutes, Admiral." "How long until the Hegemony fleet reaches bombardment range?" 11 minutes. The numbers told the story. There was not enough time. Millions of innocent people were about to die, and Earth's defenses could not stop it. "Admiral," her communications officer said quietly, "Luna City is requesting instructions." Sarah opened the channel to Luna. On the screen appeared Mayor David, a man she had known since childhood. Behind him, she could see city officials working frantically to coordinate the evacuation. "David," she said simply. "Sarah, we know what's coming. The evacuation transports won't arrive in time. We're going to try to stop them." "With what? Our defense platforms can't face a fleet that size." He paused. "Sarah, tell me honestly, can you save us?" She wanted to lie. She wanted to give him hope, but David deserved the truth. "No," she said quietly. "I'm sorry, David, we can't." He nodded slowly. "Then we'll face this together. The city council has voted to remain at our posts. We won't abandon our people." "David." "Tell my family I love them. And Sarah, when this is over, make them pay." The channel closed. Sarah watched on her tactical display as the Black Fleet moved into position. The Hegemony ships were beautiful in their way, sleek and deadly, built for one purpose only. She could see the energy building in their weapons systems. "All stations prepare to record everything," she ordered. "The galaxy needs to see this." The bombardment began exactly 11 minutes after its ultimatum. Plasma beams and missile salvos rained down on Luna's surface. The great domes that protected Luna City cracked and shattered. The parks where children played disappeared in balls of fire. The hospitals where human doctors had treated patients from across the galaxy were reduced to crater. It lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, Luna City was gone. 2.3 million humans had died in the most brutal attack the galaxy had seen since the war began. The moon's surface was with glowing craters where the city had stood. Admiral Sarah stood in the command center, tears running down her face as she watched the destruction. Around her, her staff worked in stunned silence. "Admiral," her communications officer said, his voice shaking. "Supreme Commander is transmitting again." Sarah wiped her eyes and straightened her shoulders. "Put him through." His face filled the screen again, his expression satisfied. "A most educational demonstration. I trust Earth now understands the price of neutrality." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear, but every word carried the weight of absolute conviction. "Supreme Commander, as of this moment the human species withdraws its recognition of the hegemony's sovereignty. We are no longer neutral. We are at war." She gestured to her communications officer. "Broadcast that message to every world in the galaxy." Laughed again. "You amuse me, Primitive. Your tiny fleet against the might of the hegemony. I almost regret that this will be over so quickly." "So do I," Sarah replied. Then she added, almost as an afterthought, "You should also know that your fleet is now surrounded." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across features. "What?" "Check your sensors, Supreme Commander, very carefully." On the bridge of the, alarms began to sound. On the bridge of the, chaos erupted as sensor alarms blared throughout the ship. His tactical officer stared at his displays in disbelief. "Supreme Commander, I'm reading. This cannot be right." "What is it?" demanded. "Contacts surrounding the fleet. At least 40 vessels, but they just appeared. Our sensors show nothing, then suddenly they're there." "Stealth ships," moved to the tactical display. "Impossible. Neither side has stealth technology that advanced." "Sir, these readings suggest they've been there all along. They're not ships that just arrived. They've been hiding in our sensor blind spots since we entered the system." Felt the first touch of real concern. His Black Fleet was the most powerful force in hegemony space. They had sensors that could detect a single fighter at maximum range. How had 40 ships hidden from them? "Admiral," came a new voice over the communication system. "This is Captain Torres of the UES Retribution. You asked me to introduce myself to our guest." On Sarah's command display, she could see what could not yet understand. The human ships that were around the Black Fleet looked nothing like the cargo vessels and refugee carriers the galaxy had seen. These were warships, sleek and deadly, their hulls covered with weapons the galaxy had never seen before. The UES Retribution appeared directly behind the, close enough that could see it through his bridge windows. It was half the size of his flagship, but moved with impossible grace for something so large. "Supreme Commander," Captain Torres continued, "you have murdered 2.3 million innocents. Your ship is now surrounded by mines that will activate if you move. You will witness the price of making it personal." "Mines?" His weapons officer checked his sensors frantically. "Sir, I'm detecting thousands of small objects throughout our formation. They're attached to our hulls." "When did they?" began, then stopped. He understood now. Every refugee ship that had come to battle sites, every humanitarian vessel that had rescued civilians. They had been planting devices, gathering intelligence, preparing for this moment. "How long have you been planning this?" he whispered. Admiral answered from her command center. "Since the day we achieved, Supreme Commander. Humans learn from everything we see. For 3 years we watched your tactics. We studied your technology. We prepared for the day someone would force us to choose between peace and justice." The first strike came without warning. Human ships throughout the Black Fleet opened fire simultaneously, but not with killing shots. Instead, precise energy beams targeted specific systems on each hegemony vessel. Navigation, communications, life support, weapons, all were systematically disabled. "What are they doing?" demanded as his ship shuddered under multiple impacts. "Why don't they destroy us?" His engineering officer provided the answer from his damage reports. "They're not trying to kill us, sir. They're disabling our ships piece by piece. Life support is failing on decks 7 through 12. Main weapons are offline. Navigation is completely down. Return fire." "We can't, sir. They've targeted our weapon systems first. And the mines they mentioned, they're real. Any ship that tries to move will be destroyed instantly." Across the Black Fleet, the same scene played out on 50 ships. The most feared armada in hegemony space was being taken apart like toys in the hands of a skilled engineer. Human weapons, combining the best features of both Federation and hegemony technology, cut through hegemony shields with disturbing ease. But it was not just the weapons that shocked, it was the tactics. Human ships moved in patterns he had never seen before. They coordinated attacks with precision that made his own disciplined fleet look chaotic. When his ships tried to respond, the humans adapted instantly, changing their approach faster than hegemony commanders could react. "They fight like they know what we're going to do before we do it," his tactical officer said in amazement. "Because they do," Admiral's voice came through the still-open communication channel. "We've studied every battle you fought for 3 years. We know your tactical doctrines better than you do. We've identified 17 major weaknesses in your standard formations." Captain Torres added, "We also know that hegemony ships rely too heavily on overwhelming firepower. Your defenses are designed to stop direct attacks, not surgical strikes. Your commanders are trained to never retreat, which makes you predictable." As if to prove the point, 3 human ships executed a maneuver that split the hegemony formation perfectly. They had identified the exact moment whence fleet would try to regroup and positioned themselves to exploit it. "This is impossible," said. "Your technology, your tactics, where did you learn all this?" "From you," Admiral replied simply. "And from the Federation. Humans are very good at taking the best ideas from different sources and improving them." On the UES Retribution, Captain Torres watched as her tactical officer highlighted target after target. Each hegemony ship was being methodically neutralized. Her weapons crews worked with the efficiency of surgeons, disabling specific systems while keeping the crews alive. "Captain," her engineering officer reported, "the new hybrid weapons are performing perfectly. Federation targeting computers combined with improved hegemony plasma technology. We're hitting targets 3 times smaller than either side thought possible." "Excellent. What about our stealth systems?" "The adaptive camouflage is working beyond expectations. Their sensors still can't get a solid lock on us, even at this range." Torres nodded. The stealth technology was perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. By studying how both sides' sensors worked, human engineers had developed ships that could hide in plain sight. They did not make themselves invisible, they made themselves uninteresting, appearing to be debris or asteroids until the moment they chose to reveal themselves. "Captain Torres," came Admiral's voice, "status report." "Black Fleet is 80% disabled, Admiral. No casualties on our side. Hegemony casualties are minimal, mostly crew knocked unconscious when we disabled their artificial gravity." "Good. Remember, we're not here for revenge. We're here for justice." Back on his dying flagship, watched his greatest fleet being destroyed by ships that seemed to anticipate his every move. His communications officer managed to restore partial contact with his other vessels. "Supreme Commander, the entire fleet is reporting the same thing. The humans are disabling us, not destroying us. Why?" Was beginning to understand. Because they want us alive, they want witnesses. As if responding to his words, Admiral's face appeared on his main screen again. "Exactly right, Supreme Commander. The galaxy needs to see what happens when someone targets human civilians, but we are not like you. We do not murder innocents." "Then what do you want?" Justice, you will stand trial for war crimes. Your fleet will be interned, and the galaxy will learn that humanity's restraint was a gift you should never have spurned. The battle, if it could even be called a battle, lasted 4 hours and 23 minutes. When it ended, the Black Fleet, the most feared armada in hegemony space, was nothing more than a collection of floating hulks. Not a single ship had been destroyed, but all 50 vessels were completely helpless. Human boarding crews moved through the disabled ships, providing medical aid to injured hegemony personnel and securing prisoners. They worked with professional efficiency, treating their enemies with the same care they had shown to refugees throughout the war. Found himself in chains, standing on the bridge of the UES Retribution. Captain Torres faced him across a small table. "Supreme Commander," she said quietly, "you asked how we learned to fight like this." "Yes. Humans have a saying, walk softly and carry a big stick. For 3 years we walked softly. We provided aid, sought peace, and stayed out of your war. But the whole time we were building the biggest stick anyone had ever seen." She gestured toward the tactical display, which showed the disabled hegemony fleet surrounded by human ships. "This fleet you just faced, it represents about 10% of Earth's actual military capability." Stared at her in shock. 10%. "We are a very patient species, Supreme Commander, but we are also very thorough. When you decided to make it personal, you woke something that had been sleeping since humanity first reached for the stars." As the UES Retribution moved toward Earth with its prisoners, news of the battle spread throughout the galaxy. The footage was clear. Humanity's most feared enemy had been defeated not through superior firepower, but through superior planning, tactics, and technology. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The news of the Black Fleet's destruction reached Admiral while he was planning another desperate defense. His aide rushed into the command center with a data pad, his face showing disbelief. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately." Took the pad and read the report twice before he could believe it. The entire Black Fleet, disabled in 4 hours. "Yes, sir. And Admiral, there's more. Earth is requesting permission to coordinate joint operations with Federation forces." "Coordinate? They want to fight alongside us." "It appears so, sir. They're also sharing detailed tactical analysis of hegemony weaknesses and offering to provide technical upgrades to our ships." Sat down heavily. For 3 years he had begged Earth to join the war. Now they had not only joined but had achieved what the Federation had thought impossible, a total victory against the hegemony's most powerful fleet. "What are their terms?" "That's the strange part, Admiral. They're not asking for anything. No territory, no special status, no control over Federation forces. They just want to help end the war as quickly as possible with minimum casualties." Within days, the effect of Earth's entry became clear. Human advisors arrived at Federation command centers, bringing tactical insights that revolutionized their understanding of warfare. Federation admirals watched in amazement as human officers analyzed their standard battle plans and suggested improvements. "Your shield formations are excellent for defense," explained Commander Park to a group of Federation officers. "But look what happens if you rotate them 15 degrees and add these ships here for mobile reserve." The holographic display showed the improved formation. A hegemony attack that would have broken the original lines was easily repelled by the modified version. "How did you see that so quickly?" asked a veteran Federation captain. "We've been studying hegemony attack patterns for 3 years, Park replied. "Their commanders are trained to exploit specific weaknesses. Once you know what they're looking for, you can avoid giving it to them." But it was not just tactics that changed. Human technology began appearing throughout Federation fleets. Weapons that combined Federation precision with hegemony power. Shields that adapted to incoming attacks instead of simply absorbing them. communication systems that could not be jammed or intercepted. The hegemony, meanwhile, faced a completely new type of enemy. Their standard tactics, which had served them well against Federation forces, proved useless against human innovation. Supreme General's replacement stood before a holographic display showing the latest battle results. Red markers indicated hegemony losses. There were far too many red markers. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his intelligence chief. "General, the humans fight unlike anyone we have faced. They adapt their tactics during battle. When we respond to one strategy, they immediately switch to another. Our commanders cannot predict their movements. And their technology, superior to ours in every measurable way. Their weapons are more accurate, their ships are faster, their defenses are stronger. But most concerning is their coordination with Federation forces." Studied the latest engagement reports. Human and Federation ships worked together as if they had trained for years, not weeks. The humans seemed to understand Federation capabilities better than the Federation understood themselves. "What about our advantages, superior numbers, greater firepower?" "Meaningless, General. Human forces strike with perfect precision at our weakest points. They destroy our logistics, target our command ships, and coordinate attacks across multiple systems simultaneously. Fighting them is like fighting an enemy that knows our plans before we make them." Within 6 months of Earth's entry into the war, the strategic balance had shifted dramatically. The hegemony found itself losing not just battles but entire systems. Human-led offensives cut through their defenses with surgical precision. But the humans did not fight like conquerors. Every hegemony world they liberated was immediately turned over to Federation administration. Every prisoner they took was treated according to galactic law. Every civilian population they encountered received protection and aid. "They could rule the galaxy if they wanted," General admitted to his council. "Their military strength is beyond anything we imagined. Yet they seem interested only in ending the war." "Perhaps that is why they are so dangerous," suggested his political advisor. "They fight not for conquest but for principles. That makes them unpredictable." The war's end came not with a great final battle, but with a simple communication. 18 months after Luna City's destruction, General requested a meeting with Admiral aboard the neutral station where the Galactic Council met. Sarah, now promoted to Admiral of the Fleet, sat across a negotiation table from the man who had taken his place. Between them sat Ambassador Wei, once again serving as a diplomatic mediator. "Admiral," said formally, "the Hegemony Council has authorized me to discuss terms for ending hostilities." "I'm listening, General." "We are prepared to withdraw from all occupied Federation worlds and accept full responsibility for war crimes committed during the conflict. In exchange, we request that Hegemony core worlds be allowed to govern themselves without interference." Sarah considered the offer. It was more than the Federation had ever hoped to achieve when the war began. "And what guarantee can you provide that the Hegemony will not resume hostilities in the future?" "None that you would believe, Admiral, but I will give you the only honest answer I can. The Hegemony has learned that humanity values peace enough to prepare thoroughly for war. We do not wish to learn that lesson again." The peace negotiations took 3 months to complete. The final treaty was signed on Haven, a neutral world that had somehow survived the war untouched. Representatives from dozens of worlds gathered to witness the end of the longest galactic conflict in recorded history. Brought from his prison cell to face justice, was forced to sign the surrender documents. His hands shook as he wrote his name beneath the treaty that ended his empire's expansion forever. Ambassador Wei, representing Earth, added the final signature to the document. Below his name he wrote a single sentence: "Let it be recorded that humanity sought peace until the very end. What followed was justice, not revenge." In the months that followed, the galaxy adapted to its new reality. The Federation began the long process of rebuilding damaged worlds. The hegemony, its military power broken, focused on internal reforms, and Earth emerged as something entirely new in galactic politics. The Sol Defense Force evolved into the Terran Guard, a peacekeeping organization that prevented conflicts before they could start. Human ships patrolled the borders between former enemies, not as conquerors but as neutral protectors. Human diplomats mediated disputes between worlds that had fought for generations. Most importantly, Earth opened its military and diplomatic academies to students from across the galaxy. Young officers from former Federation and hegemony worlds learned together, studying the principles that had ended the war: patience, preparation, and the understanding that true strength came from the willingness to use power justly. Admiral Sarah stood on the observation deck of the new Luna station, built in orbit above the moon where so many had died. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the memorial that marked where Luna City had once stood. "Admiral," her aide said quietly, "the latest reports from the border regions. No conflicts, no hostile activities. The peace is holding." "Good," Sarah replied. "How are our new academy classes progressing?" "Excellently. This term we have students from 47 different worlds, including 12 former hegemony systems. The integration is going better than expected." "What about the memorial dedication?" "Next month, ma'am. Representatives from every world that lost people in the war will attend. The inscription is ready for your final approval." Sarah looked at the data pad her aide handed her. The memorial inscription was simple, only a few words that would be visible from Earth. They made it personal. The galaxy learned why that was a mistake. She approved it with a touch of her finger. As the years passed, the children who grew up after the war would learn about the time when Earth stayed out of a galactic conflict. They would study how humanity's patience was mistaken for weakness, and how that mistake changed everything. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons or their tactics. It was their unwillingness to use them until they had no other choice. And when that choice was finally forced upon them, they had used their power not for conquest or revenge, but for justice. The sleeping giant had awakened, ended a war that had seemed endless, and then chosen to guard the peace it had created. In doing so, humanity had found its true place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians of the peace they valued above all else. The galaxy was a better place, because Earth had finally made it personal.